This module is about marketing chair yoga and starting up new programs. That you've learned all these wonderful techniques to practice and teach and share chair yoga for all kinds of populations and settings. Let's talk about how to actually get classes or to start classes or to start teaching. Just to give you a little bit about my background, I was marketing manager in 1998 for Yoga Journal magazine, at the time based out of Berkeley. In 2013 to 15, I was their yoga studio event partner program manager for their Yoga Journal conferences. And I've done other related marketing work as well as marketing my own chair yoga and sunlight chair yoga small businesses. My first job out of college was being the administrative assistant to Tommy Hilfiger, the fashion designer and CEO. So I've had experience out in the corporate world, which is really helpful when I'm trying to relate to teaching chair yoga for students or getting new classes in marketing for companies. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Start to think about your skills you have from past jobs or trainings or life experiences that can help you to create new classes or perhaps a name for your new business for chair yoga. You don't need to have that, but that's one option. And just start to think about your strengths and what you can bring into your business and marketing aspect. You can start to do the intention setting meditations again in the beginning of the introduction module to get clear, number one, and first and foremost, on who you want to teach to, where, and why. For the strategy of marketing and logistics, it's always helpful to keep going back to the base. Is your intent to help people? Is it to bring more joy and ease to seniors in your community? Is it to instruct school teachers how to bring chair yoga breaks for children with behavioral issues? It's nice to get back to the root of why you want to teach. And then the rest is getting focused on your strategy and how to create new classes or sub and take over for existing classes. That's what we'll talk about now. If you don't have any marketing experience or are not interested in advertising or starting new classes, you don't have to. That's the good news. You can teach yoga at health clubs, yoga studios, assisted living centers, libraries, and other places that will do all of the advertising and marketing for you. You don't need to try to generate more students in class, and you don't have to handle any of the flyers or creativity. However, if you want to start up new classes at companies, a nonprofit, an assisted living home, a senior center, a library or community center, a yoga studio, a health club, locations that don't already have it, perhaps a support group or a hospital at an expo or a health fair that don't currently have chair yoga, then you'll have to put a little more effort in to create the program and let the location know about perhaps what chair yoga is or its benefits. But I like to really start talking about meditating on your life's purpose and teaching goals. Yes, even for marketing. For my journey of teaching yoga, I have been led by my deep desire within to share with people what has helped me in my life heal from emotional and physical stress or traumas. My life has been improved by an unspeakable quality by the practice of yoga. Between the yoga postures, meditation, and the vegetarian or vegan diet, I am so grateful to the blessings of the yogis that I want to share it and help others. I've also had my own journey of healing from Lyme disease for many years, chronic, and want to help other people as well so they don't have to suffer or have tools to help symptoms decrease, even if they have an illness or terminal illness. So I find it's very important to get very clear on your goals. What's your intent of teaching? Who do you want to help? Why do you want to help? If you meditate and get clear on your life's goals or visions or teaching goals, or even just start to ask the question, I find it starts to focus you in on who you want to teach in your area versus just knowing you want to get more work per se. Instead, it's coming from a deep place of truly knowing your reasons for teaching, and that's still okay if it for you is just to use it as a way to earn income and help people in the meantime, or you might have a different reason. There's no good or bad or better or worse. But the intention setting meditation in module 1, I purposely designed in this course and all of my chair yoga trainings for many years as the first part of the training, so that you start to get clear. And as you learn different techniques and yoga at workplace and yoga for seniors, yoga for those with chronic illness, it may change who you want to teach to, and that's fine too. But a daily meditation practice and perhaps getting clear on your own goals is important. You may just want to sub classes, or perhaps you might just want to teach a workshop occasionally. Some of you want to teach weekly or more than that. Some of you might just want to share it at your parents' assisted living home. There's many options. You might want to do all of the above, and this can change. So continue to revisit that intention setting meditation or create your own as often as you like. It also helps to write down your goals and visions. Sometimes having it in writing is very helpful. So I also have in the teaching module and in the teaching tips module a worksheet so that you can create your vision in writing as well versus the visual or the meditation. There's many ways to do this. Once you get clear on your goal, then let's strategize a little bit about how to get these new classes started or to take over for current programs that need chair yoga teachers. First thing is to remember that choose joy. Teach for places you want to be at. If you can feel at ease and comfortable over time, sometimes that takes practice teaching, but if you feel joy and a deep desire to want to be helpful to a certain population, you'll most likely sustain not only teaching that group longer without feeling like you want to stop at a certain point, but you'll have more to give. It's a flow. Yoga teachers are also students. We help people, but they help us. When we help people, it ultimately also helps us because it brings us joy, a sense of purpose, helping others. When thinking of starting new classes, remember that yoga means union. So it's also about connection. Don't be afraid to get out there and start to create that connection in your community, not just for yourself, but for the students to benefit as well. Take classes in your area. That's another great tool for marketing. That way, you can meet the current chair yoga teachers or gentle yoga teachers in the area, and you can let them know after you take their class that you can perhaps sub for them, or let them know about your classes, and you can share with each other the work you're doing so that way you might have an opportunity to sub for them, which sometimes turns to weekly classes, or they may know of other classes or locations that want yoga but they couldn't teach. I find it beneficial to pick locations that are somewhat convenient for you as the instructor as well, in terms of distance from your house, how you'll get there for transportation, the time of day, and also teach with your own rhythm. Are you a morning teacher? Do you prefer evenings? If you work full time, what works with your schedule? Maybe weekends, maybe just monthly or quarterly. There's no right or wrong way, but try to do what works for you so you can sustain and bring more of your clarity and energy into classes. Subbing is also nice because for those that don't want to start teaching weekly or are not sure the populations you want to teach, you can be a sub. Get a sense of different classes and different populations, different times of day, different locations. From that, perhaps this teacher you're subbing for, if they ever change days and need a new teacher weekly, you might be asked to teach weekly if the current instructor no longer can, because the students are familiar with you, they know you're responsible and show up, you're familiar with the class, and that's usually how it occurs. I've gotten quite a few weekly teaching jobs from subbing, such as Lucasfilm in San Francisco, where that ended up teaching from subbing to 1 or 2 times a week teaching for the company as well. And then from that turned into a chair yoga lunch and learn, where we extended it to all the employees just to come in their work clothes and learn chair yoga as a one-time offering in addition to the weekly yoga classes. There's many options. Start to get creative. This flyer on the screen is from Autodesk, a company in San Rafael in my area that I taught this year, 2018, a chair yoga and office meditation class. This was a one-time offering, but the reason that HR knew about my offerings is because I sub as a yoga instructor for their weekly health club on-site company classes. So teaching at various locations can also lead as a sub into chair yoga, one-time workshops or ongoing. So get out there in your community. That also will benefit you because you'll be getting to see what you like or don't like as far as being a student in a chair yoga class, which will give you other tips for teaching as well. You'll also know what's in your area so you can see what needs to be created, maybe on certain days or areas or locations that don't have it. And you'll be practicing yoga and chair yoga yourself, which always benefits. When starting up new classes, aside from subbing for current ones, when you want to start classes, you can start to think, do you want to teach them at companies, nonprofits, assisted living homes, senior centers, libraries, community centers, health clubs, yoga studios, support groups, addiction recovery or body image or eating disorder support groups, in medical offices, or all of them? There's so many options. There's also community centers, YMCAs, parks, churches, synagogues. There's so many options. You can teach it for staff. I've taught chair yoga for staff for a school district, for the teachers and the admins. The list goes on and on. Depending on which class or type of population you want to target, to advertise or market to, the title of the class becomes very important. What and where and how much to charge is secondary. First, when you're advertising for the title, it needs to tell people right away what you're teaching. You can just teach chair yoga and call it chair yoga, but know that that would open it up to anyone. They can be in their 20s with chronic illness. They can be an athlete just wanting a gentle class. They can be seniors. Then you would have mixed ages and abilities in one class. If you're wanting to just teach seniors chair yoga, then you need to entitle the class Chair Yoga for Seniors, so it's specific. Later on, you'll see how we can get more detail with flyers as to what's in the class and whom it's for as well, but the title needs to be short and simple, but let you know the population. Chair Yoga at Work. Here's a flyer and class title I made for a class I'm teaching next week for a company. I called it Office Yoga, which they preferred, but I could also call it Chair Yoga at Work or Chair Yoga for Genesis employees. The title will also tell people who've never done chair yoga what it is. So I like to use the chair word in it so they know they don't need to bring a change of clothes or have to be barefoot or get down on their mat. But there's several ways to advertise it. Chair yoga for seniors. These are some examples. You can just call it chair yoga, but know that that opens it up to focus on everyone. Really, in some classes, even if you call it chair yoga for seniors, as I have, for example, this year teaching at Jewish Community Center, San Francisco, I had people who weren't seniors because they just enjoyed the class and they were in offices all day working nearby. And it was a free class for the community. So I had all ages, but the primary age group was seniors. So I kept the class at that level and ability. To charge, or do you charge? This is dependent on who you're teaching to, where you're teaching, if you need the income, if you want the income, if you want to cover your gas expenses and time getting the class. There's many factors. Some like to just volunteer for their local library or assisted community. Some libraries will pay. Yoga studios and companies and commercial places where they're earning profit, they will pay you most likely. Each area will be dependent as well. I can't give a set amount because every location's different and each city or town has a different pay range structure, but it also might be based on your experience. Your experience might include not just teaching chair yoga, but perhaps you're also a physical therapist or a social worker or a dance teacher. You might have other years of teaching, which would be to be considered when they're asking what type of pay rate would you like. If the participants themselves are paying, they can pay per person. That would also have to be mindful of the group to see how much you're charging. Sometimes it'll be split. meaning maybe a company will pay you a base rate and then each student will pay a partial drop-in fee. Or even in a company, student might be paying the weekly fee as a drop-in or series, and the company might not be paying at all. It would really depend. There's no one way to offer it. You have to start to think what works for you and your budget, and if you want to charge or do it as a volunteer. Sometimes teaching one time as a free class at a local library, for example, is a great way to introduce yourself to the community. This could be for all ages, and then perhaps from there you can let them know about your weekly classes that might have a fee. Or maybe someone in the class will ask if you can come teach at their company or at their parents' assisted living home. Really getting out there and teaching is the best way to generate more weekly classes, but you have to start somewhere. Offer for communities that don't have income or ability to pay for classes. You have so many options, and there's not a right or wrong way, but I'm here to guide you through the process of starting new classes in a place that's meaningful to you and that will help people in your area. When you think of the title, what you want to charge or not charge, then it's useful to start to really contemplate, or maybe even before those two steps. Some areas don't know what chair yoga is, so you might want to start from the beginning by simply letting them know that chair yoga is for the person, not the chair. It's yoga, not for the chair, but when people need support so that they can practice. Sometimes a few lines in an email or when you call someone or meet someone to explain what chair yoga is might be useful, as not everyone knows even what yoga is. Where I live in Bay Area, we have a lot of already existing chair yoga classes, but there's always room to start more. I find that not every even big city where they have many yoga and chair yoga classes has yoga or chair yoga in every hospital or assisted living home or community center or senior center or support group. Not by any means. There's so much room for this work. We can help so many people. So I'm glad you're on this journey to teach in your community. When you're marketing and promoting classes, it doesn't have to be just for starting up new classes. It could be for continuing to get people to know about your current classes. You can put flyers up at Whole Foods, health food stores, cafes, libraries. You can put them out at senior centers, community centers, health clubs, wherever you're able to. On your flyer, you can have a simple photo. Here's some photos when I was teaching at a library class. You can take your own photo from a class that shows the age group you want to teach to, or a simple photo of you in a chair yoga pose. It doesn't have to necessarily be a photo shoot that you need to hire a professional photo. It can just be a simple photo to show what they'll be doing. Here's a photo of a health fair, Green Festival, where I taught. There's a standing warrior pose, showing that everyone can do yoga even in their clothes. Here's a photo at the Kundalini Yoga Miami Beach Festival where I taught chair yoga. Outside at a park, I was teaching for RX in the Park Day, chair yoga for all ages. Here's a chair yoga photo when I taught at the Miami Beach MBC Health Expo. You don't need that much experience to start. When you start, and if you have no experience, if you have a photo from one class, you can use that on a flyer for the next. If you've not taught before, you can take, again, a simple photo of you in a chair doing a posture, perhaps with a plain wall in the background. It doesn't have to be complex. You just want people to know about what you're offering. If you don't want to make a flyer, local libraries, companies, often in yoga studios, may make the flyer for you. You can also market to teach at specific one-time annual fairs or festivals for your community or at companies. The benefits to this is that they often have a very large mail list and e-letter list. So if you list your weekly class, if they allow, or your website, you're basically getting an exchange. Even if you teach that expo and don't get paid, you're getting free marketing and advertising. I've had quite a few opportunities come from teaching a one-time class at an expo or a health fair, where from that they then wanted to take perhaps my weekly class or my workshop. You can also collect an email and e-letter list, which we'll talk about after, from those events, which will also give you continued marketing as well for people directly interested in your class and who have met you in person. Benefits to teaching at community health fairs or festivals are that you can walk around and meet the other vendors and perhaps give them your card or let them know about your offering so they can share with their other perhaps patients if they're in a holistic medical practice or with their customers that you offer chair yoga in the community. You may not get paid for some festivals, but if you volunteer, you'll get free entry so you can enjoy the day after teaching as well and meet lots of great people and introduce chair yoga. There's many benefits. In this photo, I'm teaching alternate nostril breathing, pranayama, at the Green Festival. They're in their clothes, they didn't need a change, and many people just walking by saw it and they saw it was not threatening. If they've had injuries or illness, they didn't need to get on the ground on a yoga mat, so they jumped on in. From that, many people were introduced to an ongoing practice for health and wellness. You can help many people, even giving them ideas about chair yoga, just from a one-time health fair or expo. And this video is some marketing inspiration. Here's a photo of a woman who is 89 years old. Her name is Pearl. She started a Kickstarter fundraising project for Happy Canes, a business she created putting flowers around canes, where she invited her friends and family to support her initiative. The idea, she said, for her business didn't come out of thin air, but it was necessity. She had vertigo a few years back and she needed a cane, but she was disappointed by the options. So she went to the art store and bought decorations. She said she since then has fallen in love with the process of decorating canes with flowers and other ornaments. Soon after, her grandson helped her start a Kickstarter page where she met her goal to raise money, in fact, $3,000 or so for her project with 154 backers to fund her grassroots business making walking canes. It's never too late, not only to start yoga, but to get creative and start a new business idea, such as teaching chair yoga. You can get really creative and enjoy the process as you encourage others to join classes or to create new classes for your community, because yoga truly is for everyone. One can do headstand, but most people can try this. Sit in a chair, lift your arms up, and take a deep breath. And if you can't lift your arms, just take a deep breath. Enjoy your yoga. Namaste.